appreciate it. Sean ordered me some, but they're so uncomfortable.
Yeah, those ones are kind of nice. Are you going to be in here tonight? Otherwise, I was going to have to grab the keyboard. So
Should I hide go somewhere like?
Do you want me to scoot down one?
I could sit here. Just all right.
Yeah.
Is that my 6 feet away from you, Isetta?
Close
Not
enough.
really. Close enough.
How are you getting your hair done? It looks so nice.
And well,
Confess.
my niece came and did it for me.
Nice. It looks great.
Yeah, she's a hairstylist in Salem. So she came up and did it for me because I couldn't handle it anymore.
Did you see the picture on Facebook of Jacob?
No. His hair?
Oh my God. He needed it before this happened. Now it's like, and so we were trying to have Nikki take a picture of this and, you know, have 4 bangs and they were like this. I was like, oh, wait. And Jacob's like, yeah, wait. Whoosh. Audio.
Luckily, I cut Eric's hair, so when he needs a haircut, I just cut him and all the boys.
Oh,
They all
that's
just get haircuts by me.
I'm scared to death of a blue and telling him his hair. needs
A
to
bad
be-
haircut is 2 weeks for them.
Oh.
Think about it. 2 weeks for a guy.
Sean wants me to cut it. I'm not.
You just put a clipper on it and just, and then you just blend it all
I
on.
tell you would care for the clipper.
She cut it really short.
I don't know how to do this part. What am I missing?
Can I do anything to help you guys?
No.
Okay.
You want this to be quiet.
You need me to shut up? Yes.
Please.
It's hard.
Okay, so I need to mute my.
Testing 1, 2. Hey, Rod, can you hear me? You're muted. Daniel, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Thank you.
No, I can unmute myself. How about that? If Dan could do
Yeah.
it, I could. All right.
Yeah, the fact that you can unmute yourself is, really a blessing.
It's scary. That's what you meant to say. Let's be real.
Linda's in the meeting.
Hey, Linda.
Hello.
I saw Lisa Farquharson on there a minute ago. I did. There she is. Hi, Lisa.
There we go.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Lisa, I will be calling you tomorrow.
Am I in trouble?
No, I need your help. You'll hear
Okay.
you'll hear a little bit about it under council reports.
Okay. I'm in the office tomorrow.
I'll call you. Find a good time.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm gonna mute.
This is better where we can see the little pictures all the way across and arrow through them. Something's different than we had last time.
I don't know what it would be.
We didn't have these arrows up there where I can go across the screen and see everybody.
Mayor Bates, did you get my text asking you to remind people to identify themselves when they speak, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm also going to ask people to mute while they're speaking, or unless they're speaking, right?
Correct.
As long as I'm 6 feet away from Tim, I'm good.
Are you guys together?
You're not with Tim, are you, Rod?
Can't tell you. It's against code.
Says no.
Daniel, I like your dress shirt. I'm wondering what pants you have on with them.
Blue jeans.
That's a little too much information for me.
I stay you down.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Your Excellency.
Can I just check that you guys can hear me? This is Dave Peters.
Hi, Dave, we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll mute now.
So far away. Hi.
Izetta, can you hear me?
Yes.
When I'm done, do you want me just to hop off and leave the meeting?
Well, it's up to you. You can stay if you want, but, you know, you can leave if you want to.
Well, I didn't know that you would want me to be visible on the Zoom the whole time.
No, I don't think it matters.
Okay, well then I'll probably, when I finish, I will leave this and then I'll just have it on my mobile.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, this is Chief Palmer and Jensen. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Darcy, I thought Darcy was on.
What's that you're drinking there, Rod? Well, you were muted when you said that, so I'll
Oh,
have to
that's
assume
good.
the worst.
Well, Izetta always gives us water. She sent me water. You didn't get any?
No, I didn't get any water.
Hmm. Well, thanks for the fresh coffee too, Izetta.
You're trying to get me in trouble now.
Hi, Tyler. There's Darcy.
I've got 5:27, so we got about 3 minutes.
So are there other people on the live stream then that can watch it?
This is Linda. How does a person get to live stream?
I'm sorry, what?
How does a person get to the live stream?
They go to the city website and they go to live meetings and agendas. And there's a blue bar and they just click on that. And that's how you
Thank
view
you.
it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Darcy.
Hi.
I think it's getting better and better each time.
You'll be perfect. That's what I was thinking. I have massive notes. That's what I was checking, was to see if it was streaming on the website. It's on YouTube, but it didn't look like it's on the website, but it's blue now, so it is. I had my mic on. And so that we were fighting. So I had to shut it off. And then now I shut off video too because people want to see me. They still see you, see right here. Yeah, but not like necessarily see how everybody's face is big.
Has Mickey's hand got to the top yet, Rich?
As a matter of fact, just when you spoke, It is now 5:30 PM and I'm calling the regular city council meeting of May 11th, 2020 to order. May I ask the city clerk to please call the roll?
Linda Miller,
Here.
Darcy Long Curtis,
Here.
Tim McLaughlin,
I'm here.
Rod Runyon. Did I get Tim? Did I get Tim and Rod? Rod's muted. Oh, you're muted, Rod.
Unmute.
He's got himself muted.
Well, can he unmute himself, Izetta?
Yes, there. Now he's.
Okay, Rod, are you here?
I am here. It said on there the host needed to do it, but I did it.
Okay,
Okay,
I would like to
and
remind, go ahead.
Mayor Mays.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much. Okay, I'd just like to remind everybody about our new guidelines because we're not meeting in person, and that is please raise your hand before you speak. Although I cannot see anybody, I'll do my best to try to get around. If you don't get recognized, just say so and we'll get you, it'll be first come, first served, but we'll get to you eventually. Also, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
This is Linda. I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
This
Is
is
there a
Darcy.
second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Miller and seconded by Councilor Long Curtis to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Tim says aye.
Rod says
Okay.
aye.
That's a unanimous approval. Item 4 is presentations and proclamations. The first one is a presentation from the Dalles Area Chamber of Commerce for their annual report on tourism, and I'll turn it over to Lisa from the Chamber.
Good evening, your honorable mayor, City of the Dalles, council, and our staff and team at the City of the Dalles. I'm going to do this the best that I can from this new way of doing meetings here in our community. So you have all received your packet of our annual report, which consists of many different stats, all of our visitor center, our website, our social media platforms, different FAM tours that we have done, the results of the articles being printed and what that means for us as far as publications. There is a ton of information in these packets, and I don't want to use up some of the time to go over all of these. What I would like to do is focus on just a couple and highlight and then go into our proposed budget and proposed scope of work for this interesting year of 2021 and go from there and then take any questions regarding the report that you guys have already gotten into your hands during that time. So one of the things I do want to point out is that we were able to do a few FAM tours that did bring some awareness of the Dalles and printed in some different publications, and that those are being coordinated quite a bit through our partner with Travel Oregon and the Hood Gorge region. So how that works is they have an initial publication that wants to come to the Dalles or our whole area, and then we work with Travel Oregon on that. And then Lizzie, who is our regional destination marketing person, the RDMO, she coordinates with all of us to get those people here and to help with the exposure from each community in that region. We've done a few on our own. It is less expensive and less of a cost when we are partnering with the region. And our region is being very careful that all of our communities are being included in those FAM tours. And we know that the FAM tours work. That's what is helping to get the articles written and getting the Dalles on the map. So that, and then we have been working hard with some agencies. We've worked hard with Northwest Fishing Reports in the past, and we've had a commercial embedded with their show that airs on several different platforms. These are the fishing shows that you see on the cable channels, the dish channels, and those, and then they have a big presence on the internet. So we've worked with them for the past couple of years and had a commercial embedded. And then this last year, we completed 3 commercials that we will be using for that, but we also now have a new partner, and Brett Surplus has a show that emphasizes a story of someone doing an outdoor adventure, but it's usually been a vet or someone who's been through a trauma. And this is their triumph, their victory, their show of showing them something that they're doing that they never thought they could. So we have partnered with that one, and they will be doing an episode once we get past all of this. They will be doing an episode that'll be filmed right here in the Dalles as a part of one of their season shows. And then our commercial is now embedded with that. And I'm going to see what I can do to share the screen and share this commercial. So bear with me. We will try this. And hopefully the sound works.
I'm not hearing it, Lisa.
Okay, hang on a second. Well, just a second. Let me see if I can come up here. I may have to send it to you because I did all of the things I'm supposed to do to show the volume through the computer.
Lisa, how
So-
long is the video?
It's 30 seconds.
Why don't you just show it without the sound? Because I think that would help too.
Okay,
You know,
let me back it up just a bit. Get the full effect. We're gonna go right here. Okay, let me make sure that it's off on my computer so I don't keep hearing it. Okay, so that is one. I will send you the link to that. It's on our YouTube channel for Explore the Dalles. And that one is going to be airing with the 2. We like all 3 of our commercials because none of them are really of mass gatherings. We did not plan it that way. It just happened to work out that way, which was really nice. And so one is family oriented, one is things to do, what you just saw. And then the other one is more things for adults, looking at our breweries, looking at our wineries, some of those types of events that don't necessarily involve the kids. So we had a lot of fun putting those together. You'll recognize some of the people as you see all 3 commercials, and I will send the one to you and then give me next week and I'll send the other 2 to you on our YouTube and with those links. So that is something that we feel like we really stepped up to the plate and produced a better commercial for our community that we are proud to put out there. It's a little bit different twist, a little bit different look. It took a lot of people to involved with that to get that where it was, but we're gonna have fun with those. So any questions so far on the information that you received as far as our annual report of where we've been, what we've done, and all those stats?
any questions for anyone, for Lisa?
Okay,
I have
you're all
one.
quiet.
I have one, Lisa. Lisa,
Yes.
Your staffing situation is, with the governor issuing new guidelines, and assuming that the county's plan gets accepted, which I expect it will, is there any light at the end of the tunnel as far as your staffing goes, or is it a financial consideration more than it is a governor guideline situation?
It is actually both. We're looking at financial. I wrote a budget that was, and that's what's coming up is the proposed budget that I sent to you. We are going to have to operate at a much less level just because of where our hotel TRT is going to be. We're following some of the guidelines that Travel Oregon has put out there and what's going to happen there. And obviously, we are going to be discouraged from doing any events. I want to take the side of precaution. I don't want the liability of being the person who created an event and then we had a second outbreak. So we are being very careful what we plan, what we do, and how we are encouraging people to act and do things. So we will be staying at a smaller staff. We're looking for better tools and things that we can do to be more efficient so that you don't seem like we have less staff. Our job is to promote our community, but we want to promote the safety first of the community members. So we're looking at different ways to do those things and how do we encourage people to come and recreate so that our businesses get support, but to do it safely and in a manner that it is not a mass gathering. So we know that our events are probably not going to happen for the rest of the year. I just don't feel comfortable taking that responsibility on of encouraging more than 25 people, even when we get to phase two. So I'm in the thick of all of the different planning and the different pieces on several regional, state, national, different committees and boards that are listening to this data and the information. So I want to be the best steward and the best that I can do for our community. So we are looking at things differently, very differently. So on that long answer instead of a short one, sorry, Mayor Mays, I've never been known to be just short and direct. To summarize with this scope of work, there's a lot in here. I've taken things out to accommodate a less budget. I am following the trend and direction of Travel Oregon, who has just announced a 50% cut in their reduction in their budget. So I have followed suit and reduced our budget greatly, where I think hopefully it can be doable. I'm looking at those revenue decreases. And so that is what I came up with for the new budget. But in that, I have plans to do different things. I've talked to Julie a little bit and the committees that I'm on, I don't want to go out there tomorrow and push tourism. That's not what we want. We want to be safe. We want to be doing those things. So we're going to keep the Dalles top of mind by some of the things that we've already been put in place, our different commercials that we've already contracted out, and some of the ads that we've already contracted for the summer months, because those contracts were created a long time ago. And so we'll be doing that and then pushing some of the social medias as to what we are, who we are, the scenery, the different things and community feel. So when you're ready, come explore the Dalles. We don't want to be bringing people here in floods before we're ready. So we're going to be doing that. And then we're hoping this fall and December time, I will be working with a company to do geo-targeting types of digital advertising so that we're very specific in where we're reaching those day trips and then the specific overnight trips. So those are some of the things that we're looking at doing for that targeting pieces of it. And we'll be trying to contract out some of the work that we've done and rather than all in-house, so that we're going to be working with the professionals who are in that area. So they're well aware of what we need to do and when we can do this. So we'll be working with them closely to make sure that we're not advertising too soon or too late. And we'll be looking at FAM tours, but to be honest, those probably aren't going to be till spring. So we'll be looking at those pieces. And then, like I said, really beefing up that social media platform where we can do that now, and then looking at some of that targeting and the advertising for later. This is a lower budget than I've ever seen since I've come on board, but I feel realistically that this is where the chamber needs to be and what is going to be coming in for tourism dollars. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we get more dollars in for hotel tax than what I'm seeing and predicting, but I also want to be ready and I want the city as my partner to know that I've done everything possible so that you are not approving a contract and then all of a sudden those dollars aren't coming in. So we've decreased the salaries quite a bit. We've decreased wherever we could. I cut into those budget pieces. I did keep some marketing dollars in there. And we're sitting at a little bit more than half on those marketing dollars because I want to be able to launch that when we're ready. But I kept some of the other expenses lower. The one expense that I did put in there that normally we wouldn't have is the billboard expense. We had originally done the 2 billboards and we accomplished that. They're up. And of course, it was right before this all hit. And we had fully expected to do co-op advertising with the businesses that are on there. But more than half of those businesses are businesses who either had to close or go down to a 25% operation. So we do not feel well at all about asking them to pay their portion. So I have included that into the Chamber's tourism budget that we cover the remainder of the cost for the rest of the year. So our businesses aren't out one more expense. We still would like to do grants, but I just don't see it in this budget year. And then I've also, because we're not encouraging events until next spring, I feel like that is probably one of the expenses that we can go and eliminate from our budget. And then if tourism starts to come in, that's maybe something we can revisit and see if there is some monies coming in and we can help and do those as grant marketing dollars. I feel like this is just a one-way conversation. This is hard, guys. So is there any questions? I know that it's our normal contract with a few things taken out that we just can't do because there's no monies for that. But I also want you to know that my staff will work as hard as they can to promote our community because every one of them is passionate about the Dalles and what we can do and where we can be. So just know that we're going to be continually working for you as hard as we can. And I've laid everything out that I can be. The visitor center is going to be open and operating as soon as I know that we have the proper PPE in place so that my staff is safe and the public is safe. So we'll be doing those things. We don't want to miss the opportunity if someone comes into town to direct them safely to experience our community. But we also want to be safe about that. So we're also looking for some technology that we're going to be putting in the windows so that when we're not open, they get proper messaging and proper information about where to go and how to experience our community. Is there any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Lisa?
Yeah, this is Linda.
Uh-huh.
What's your bottom line now, Lisa?
The present year?
Yes.
So right now,
for 2021.
okay, so 175,000.
Okay. Oh boy, you did cut it.
Yes, I did. I had
Thank
some
you.
long, yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking, Linda. I had some long talks with Travel Oregon, with our region, and I just feel like that's where we should be.
Any other questions for
Thank you.
Lisa?
Darcy.
So you didn't, I think Mayor Mays was kind of asking this question earlier, and that's the one thing that you didn't talk about, but your salaries and benefits are quite a bit lower. So could you address what that meant for your staffing and whether you're able to move people around, or did you actually lay people off?
So we laid 2 people off in our office. It is a permanent layoff. One was our events person, and without events happening for this next year, that is something a budgetary person and operations person has to do. This was not easy to do. And then our other person was our media and public relations person for tourism. As everything is subdued, going down to less. We had brought them on when we were operating at a much higher level. So I had to lay them off also. And then our staff is assuming all of the responsibilities of this contract. And I'm fully confident that we can carry out what we have set in front of you. Tim, did you have a question?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for our chamber director?
Good
Hearing
job.
none. Hearing none, thank you very much, Lisa, for addressing the city council and under such dire circumstances. We appreciate the job you're doing. And
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
sure we'll be talking soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item 4B is a COVID-19 regional update. Julie, is that you?
I believe Dr. McDonald is on the meeting and I believe she's giving the presentation.
Okay.
Mimi, you're
Dr.
muted.
McDonald.
Yep, I'm here. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So it's Dr. Mimi McDonald, a health officer for North Central Public Health District. I didn't so much plan on giving a presentation. I'll just give a brief update on kind of our situation where we're at, and then also the things that we've been working on via unified command, and then give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. So today, as of this afternoon in Wasco County, we actually have 16 people who have been diagnosed with COVID-19. We've had 1 fatality. Sherman County has had 1, Gillum has had 0, Hood River County has had 13 cases. And Klickitat County has actually had 22 cases. As you probably know, we've had the opportunity to do a careful evaluation in accordance with Governor Brown's plans for sort of a reopening, and some of the things that were needed. I'll just kind of go over the list. One was a declining prevalence of COVID-19 in our county, which as we look at the number of cases has been going down steadily, which is good. We've definitely met the criteria for having a minimum testing regimen. We actually have been very fortunate where we are, both with One Community Health and Mid-Columbia Medical Center, doing an excellent job of being able to provide COVID testing for all of those who need it. We have a robust contact tracing system, which is going to be important as things change with the slight lessening of some of the requirements and some of the regulations. We do have isolation facilities, and we have sufficient healthcare capacity and PPE supplies. So we feel confident. And Tyler Stone today submitted our county plan to the governor's office. So we are feeling good about that. As you are all aware, that we have coming to our region, our regional farm workers or seasonal farm workers who come. Most of the folks who come to Wasco County come from California, and they've been coming here for years. And there's been a tremendous, well, every year there's always a terrific group effort towards making sure that these folks are taken care of and are safe, but this year absolutely more than ever. So multiple organizations and entities are working very hard to protect the safety of those workers and to ensure that not only will those folks stay safe, that the work will be able to be done, and the people in our community will continue to have very low rates of COVID. That's been one of the big projects. So I'll turn it back over to Tyler to see if he has anything else he'd like to add.
Thanks, Mimi. So I, along with Mimi and Chiefs Palmer and Jensen, make up the unified command for response efforts. And that was a great presentation. The only thing I really have to add is we just received notification from the governor's office that our plan was approved, and it is moving now for approval to Oregon Health Authority. So there's one more hurdle there at the state level that we need to clear before moving into phase 1.
That's great news. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you. Are you guys ready for questions? Tyler?
Sure.
Mimi?
You bet. Don't forget
Okay.
about Chief Palmer and Jensen. They're here too.
Yeah, they answer all the questions. We just
That's
get the briefings.
Okay. I think they're here for another reason as well. Does anybody have any questions for any of the 3 of them? I have a couple. One of the requirements for getting approved, which we just did, which is great, is a decrease in the number of cases, but yet across the country, and including Wasco County, the number of cases has gone up, albeit minimally. Go 14 to 15 to 16. Is it a matter of semantics, or what am I missing there?
No, that's a great question, and you're absolutely right that when we use that tally, of course, that's cumulative cases. So that number will obviously keep going up, because we keep track of them. So what we're really looking at is the sort of number of cases that occur over time. And so we have something called an epi curve, which has the number of cases per day, and then over time. So what we're seeing is all those graphs that you guys are used to looking at is that it's getting, we've flattened the curve, it's spread out. And especially here, we are as I mentioned, super fortunate in rural Oregon that we have very, very low numbers. So I would not recommend that all of the country do what we're going to do, but I feel very confident that we are in a great position.
Thank you. My second question revolves around, if it's a matter of privacy, believe me, don't answer the question. I understand there's privacy issues, but in your, and I know you talk with other counties and regions across the state, do you find that the number of cases revolve around a particular facility? For example, how often are the numbers grouped into, say, a nursing home or a church or something like that, or is it very sporadic and individualized across the different areas?
Oh, no, that's a great question. And actually, of course, one of the priorities really shifted early on to protecting people who are living in congregate living settings. They absolutely are at risk. And as you've seen, and especially when we look at fatalities, because those folks are older, they usually are more medically compromised. So those folks living in congregate care facilities or in congregate living settings at all, so for example, in jails or prisons, are at exceptionally high risk. So absolutely those places warrant more attention and really close observation. We are just so incredibly fortunate for the amazing job that our Oregon Veterans Home has done, and all of the other long-term care facilities and NORCOR. Just they have been vigilant and have done an amazing job of keeping everyone safe.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you all very much for the presentation, and we look forward to having you back sometime in the near future, or hopefully it won't be too soon. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the city manager's report, item 5. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor Mays. I was going to report on Wasco County having submitted the plan, but we got much better news tonight from Tyler, so that was exciting. And then I just wanted to let you know, in case you haven't all checked your emails, that I did receive the report from Fort Dallas Displays regarding their plan for maintaining the murals, which was raised at our budget committee meeting. So I did forward that to everyone today. I think other than that, I've been keeping you caught up hour by hour. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Julie?
Linda has a question.
Go ahead, Linda.
How are we going to know, will you let us know when OHA gives the approval?
Yes, I will, Councilor Miller, as soon as I find out.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Councilor Runyon?
Julie, I read the letter from Fort Dallas Displays. I thought our questions were more about the grouping together of fireworks and the displays, and I didn't see any reference at all to fireworks and funding and that sort of thing. And that seemed to me, in my memory, was part of the questioning that was out there.
Well, the question I was trying to address by asking for that report was a comment or a couple comments that I received during that budget meeting that no one really seemed to know what Fort Dallas Displays plan was for the murals, and that was very important to the community. So that's why I asked them to specifically address that. Regarding the fireworks, we know they're planning to do a show and that they were planning to use the funds that were left in the budget for the fireworks display this year. I know they have some other things that they're working on, for instance, corporate sponsors, but I can't speak to whether or not those are secured yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Julie, I also understand that the fireworks display may be televised in the Portland area. Our fireworks display.
That is being worked on also. They don't have a press release prepared yet.
Okay. Any other questions of the city manager?
This is Darcy. I have a couple questions. So the mural committee update, I did read part of it, but I had to kind of skim down through the rest. And it is a good history of the organization, but I really didn't see anything about what they're planning to do this year. And that was, I mean, we're not giving them money for murals, so I assume they're not going to do anything unless we change that at the city council meeting when we vote on the budget. And we can talk about this at the budget meeting, but with the report we just had from the tourism director about not bringing a lot of people here, and the fireworks, that's their one main event. And I don't know if they have a plan in place to handle everything, if they thought through it as well as the chamber would have. And so what do we have in place to make sure that if that event is going forward, that it is something that we as a city actually approve of, so that we don't end up being a hot spot and getting on the map because we had a big outbreak?
Absolutely. I know they're still finalizing their plans, and part of their plan for the televising it is a stay home and watch this on TV. Don't come to our community. They're working on that messaging as they're working with the media to televise it. So all of that is still in the works right now. So I don't have their final plan yet.
Okay, so our
they're not planning any concerts or parades or anything like that, just the fireworks display.
right.
So people, for instance, that live in our community, maybe they're all watching it from their homes or their backyards or something.
Right, but we've seen a lot of violations of the recommendations, and I'm just asking who makes the final decision. Is it emergency command, or, I mean, they can tell people to stay home, but fireworks are going to draw people, and I don't know how you keep people from not gathering together. And I'm just saying that this is important, because if we have an outbreak, if people do come from Portland or wherever, we're going to have to live with that.
I will ask them for additional information as they're working on their plan.
Did you have another question, Councilor Lon Curtis? I thought you had two questions.
That was her second question.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for the city manager? Okay, the city attorney's report, item 6.
Yes, we continue to work through all of the technological issues associated with public meetings, but that's gone very well thanks to Izetta. We had 3 back-to-back public land use hearings with the Planning Commission on Thursday night, and I thought that those went really well. Brent did a great job. We have another one coming up next Thursday. So I've just been really pleased with how the public hearings piece of this has gone. And thank you, Izetta, again. She's been great. I did attend the League of Cities conference call on Friday, and that was interesting. There was a lot of discussion about local municipalities and cities getting those CARES dollars, which has been an ongoing discussion. The League of Cities has formed a new campaign called Cities Are Essential, and they are advocating for aid that will come directly to Oregon cities. So that was exciting to hear. I think it was Rob from Association of Counties did confirm that the governor had herself confirmed that the intent is that this money flow to the local counties and the cities. So we just are in a holding pattern to see what that is actually going to look like. And I'll be continuing to keep a pulse on that. I think that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Diana. Is there any questions for the city attorney? With that, we'll go to city council reports. And the first one I'm looking at here is Councilor Runyon. You have a report? You're muted.
You're muted.
You're still muted. There you go.
Okay. I've also been on several phone conferences and whatnot of one kind or another, all pretty much saying the same types of things. But what I want to talk about in my little bit of time here is a local item that is tourism related. It's mostly local. And that is our Veterans Museum on 2nd Street. That was in what was formerly the American Legion building. The museum was a brainchild of Gene Maxwell and Les Kokenauer, Gene, myself, Lisa Commander, and one representative from the American Legion were the board. Currently, it's myself, Lisa, and Gene. About a year ago, the American Legion building was sold to a private party, and there have been a couple of stores put in part of it. We were allowed as the museum to continue our lease at no cost, which expires on August 1st. Today, we were notified of a new lease that would be offered to us August 1st, where we would end up paying about $800 a month, plus utilities, plus other expenses. And I'm here to tell you that our entire treasury is $1,400 total. $800 a month means we will be closing the Fort Dalles Museum. So all I'm here to tell you tonight is that the city and the public need to be informed that the startup venture done all by volunteers to have a Veterans Museum in the Mid-Columbia representing both sides of the river is in dire jeopardy. And as a board, I'm going to be meeting tomorrow with several people, but as a board, we're looking for ideas, mostly a space, somebody that has a space. We're in about 825 square feet, so it's not a lot of room, but we are in danger of losing what I think is really just on the ground floor of growing and growing and growing, because it does represent counties on both sides of the river. And that's why it's called the Columbia Gorge Veterans Museum. So I want to put that out there that there's problems afoot. And if any of you would like to contact me, after the meeting or tomorrow, et cetera, or another day, that would be appreciated. If you have some ideas on how we can keep this going. It has steadily grown over the last 3 years. I think there's a real future based on our past and our present with the veterans community, having the veterans home here, which is state, which is county, having the clinic, which is federal, having the National Guard Readiness Center. There's just a lot going on in this community regarding veterans, and I would hate to see this startup just go away. But we simply, the new owners, they say the space is worth $1,200 a month, and they're willing to cut off $400 of that, but we cannot afford it. It has not been a money-making enterprise. It has been an enterprise of several board members and a lot of other volunteers that have come in and out, labor of love kind of thing. But I really think it's in dire straits. So that's what I want to tell you tonight. There'll be more coming in the future.
Councilor Runyon, I have some questions, but I'll get with you later on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions for Councilor Runyon? Okay, we'll go to Councilor Miller.
I attended the budget meeting on May 4th. That's the extent of my report.
Thank you. Councilor Long Curtis.
Thank you. So I'll just add on, I guess, hadn't heard that, Rod, so thank you for sharing that. I sit on a committee with Jean Maxwell, and she reports out on the caregivers for veterans. And I know that it's a small space, but they've gotten quite a few donations, and they have a professional system that they're documenting all of that stuff. And so even though it's a very small space currently, they've been rotating the items, and it is a substantial collection that they have been collecting. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
Last week, obviously, I participated in the city budget committee meeting, and I continue to participate on the COVID-19 weekly human services calls and also tactic calls. And then the big report that I have is that I've been involved with Gorge Outreach, which is for our houseless individuals. And so currently the stay-in order is still in place, although good news today, looks like shortly that won't be the case. But we've had to transition individuals out of the Shiloh because the money is running out. We actually extended it quite a bit. We only had funding through the end of April. We were able to work with community partners and do some other things. And so at this point, we have moved most of the people out, some into transitional housing, but most have returned to their camps. Of course, that's a concern because they don't have any consistent hot water and soap. And that's going to continue to be a situation, even though we're in these different phases. All of the hand washing is going to continue to be very important in order to keep this from spreading in our community. And everyone who's still at the Shiloh, which there are now 30 vouchers left, those are split between Hood River and Wasco County. And those people are the most severely at risk. So previously it was severely at risk, and now these are the most severely at risk, and they're only going to get to stay through the end of May. Most of them are very elderly, or they have very serious underlying conditions such as cancer. And so I just, we need to be thinking about our homeless population, because this is the issue of COVID is not going away. And we have been warned, told that the warming shelter is not going to happen from St. Vincent de Paul. So we need to step up and help either find another organization or take leadership on that ourselves. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilor Long Curtis? Councilor McLaughlin?
Yes, Mayor. I attended the budget meeting through the Zoom application. I will be doing the Airport Commission coming up, and also Urban Renewal tomorrow night. So those are the meetings that I will be attending. Before at 5:31, I received a message from Roger Nichols, and he asked a question that I'll bring up now before we go into the public hearing. He said, "Tim, I noticed that there is a public hearing tonight. How are the members of the public going to testify if all they can do is possibly watch a live stream and don't have Zoom access?"
Sure. The Governor's Keep Oregon Working Executive Order, I think it was 20-16, addressed that issue. Essentially, that order made it permissible for us to take testimony via email, provided that the testimony was received in a timely manner, such that the council or the commission or whatever committee facilitating the public hearing would have an opportunity to timely review the testimony. I think for tonight's public hearing, Izetta on our notice stated that comments were due via email by May 8th at 3 p.m. And to the best of my knowledge, we didn't receive testimony.
We did not.
All right, that answers that question. Could we possibly publish the call-in number if anyone had any comments? Like, is that a possibility?
We are, can I speak to next Thursday night? We are, we've made significant strides with the technology. So for next Thursday night, we did actually send out an amended notice informing people of how they can call in to participate live. So although that's not necessary for us to do pursuant to the governor's order, we have worked out a method in which to facilitate that. So next Thursday night, for the public hearing before the Planning Commission, that technology will be available, and it's been published in the notice, the call-in information.
Thank you. That answers that question. That ends my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Under my report, like I mentioned last time, I've been participating in conference calls with the League of Oregon Cities, with Diana, which Diana mentioned, and the local hospital. I do want to allude to a letter I got from Captain Raymond Morris of the Salvation Army, who wanted to let you know, and everyone know that, and this is 2 weeks old, so bear with me. Since March 13th, the Salvation Army has provided, in response to the COVID-19 in the Dalles, 562 food boxes and assisted 1,585 others. They've moved to a drive-up pantry Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1 to 3, and Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 6. And they've made themselves available to the local ministries and law enforcement for shut-ins and people who can't make it to their food pantry. And keep in mind, those numbers are kind of astounding to me, and they're actually 2 weeks old, so I'm sure they're much higher. So Captain Raymond Morris, I think the city certainly appreciates all your service to the community in this regard. That's all I have. Well, one other thing, the counselors will be receiving within the next few days plans for interviewing the city council candidates who have applied to take Russ Brown's place. So item 8 is the consent agenda. We only have one item on the consent agenda, and that is approval of the minutes of April 27th. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda and those minutes?
This is Linda. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes the minutes from the city council meeting of April 27th.
This is
Do I hear
Darcy.
a
I'll
sec-
second that.
It's been moved by Councilor Miller, seconded by Councilor Long Curtis to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 No.
Did I hear everyone?
Tim's raising his hand,
Aye.
and so is Rod.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, it's passed unanimously 4-0. Thank you very much. Public hearings. Item 9A. We're considering the adoption of the General Ordinance 20-1381, amending Article 10.3.030.020 of the Dalles Municipal Code, Title 10, Land Use and Development. This is the time scheduled for a public hearing regarding General Ordinance number 20-1381 of the Dalles Municipal Code, Title 10, Land Use and Development. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, the city's public hearing procedures for tonight's legislative hearing have been amended. On April 15, 2020, the governor issued Executive Order 2016 titled Keep Government Working. Pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, public bodies must hold public hearings through an electronic means whenever possible. Regarding public testimony, Section 2C of the governor's order states, any requirements that testimony during a public hearing be taken in person do not apply if the public body provides an opportunity for submission of testimony by electronic or virtual means, or provides a means of submitting written testimony, including by email or other electronic methods that the public body may consider in a timely manner. Consistent with the governor's orders, the city has implemented the following procedures for tonight's public hearing. This hearing is available for public viewing through a live stream that is posted to the city's website. Written testimony regarding the ordinance that is the subject of this hearing was required to be emailed to the city clerk no later than May 8th, 2020 at 3:00 p.m. The city did not receive any public testimony or comment regarding ordinance number 20-1381. Have any members of the city council had any ex parte contacts conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter?
No.
Miller, no.
Long Curtis, no.
McLaughlin,
And Councilor
no.
Runyon indicated no as well. Does anyone participating in tonight's hearing wish to challenge the qualifications of any members of the City Council? Hearing none, I will now open the public hearing, and I'm going to ask for a staff report. Julie, would that be Dawn?
Dawn Hurt will provide the staff report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Councilors. As you stated, this is a public hearing for proposed recommended changes to our municipal code, specifically with regards to emergency management and response plans. Back in August of 2019, Mid-Columbia Fire and Rescue brought a discussion item to our pre-application meeting, which is what we call site team, to actually discuss the suggestion of adding code language to help them facilitate and ensure that adequate provisions are met or are required of developments when they come into our jurisdiction. The pre-application, that was August 8th, and we ended up taking the application to the Planning Commission on December 5th of 19. The Planning Commission conducted the public hearing and is proposing the amended language as provided to you, which is adding Section K regarding emergency management and response plans. There is no budget implications, and council's alternatives as staff recommendation is to move to adopt General Ordinance 20-1381, amending Article 10.3.030.020 of the Dallas Municipal Code, Title 10, Land Use and Development by title only. And we do have Chief Palmer and Chief Jensen here to answer any questions that you may have specifically of the verbiage that we're going to be or proposing to add.
Thank you, Dawn.
You bet.
Before I close the hearing, does anybody have any questions of the staff? Okay, with that, I'm closing the public hearing, and I will now allow the council to deliberate. Does anybody on the City Council have any questions or comments related to the proposed ordinance? Councilor Runyon.
Is this where we could ask to have a brief summary from the fire chief, just to get us all on the same page?
Chief Palmer?
I'm here. Thank you. Honorable Mayor and members of the council. So primarily, this has been a fairly lengthy process working through with Ms. Hurt and Mr. Harris, as well as Public Works, and going through this process. For the most part, I appreciate their collaboration in this matter and understanding what we were looking for as far as needs of the fire department. Primarily, our primary mission is just having the opportunity to engage in dialogue with businesses and industry that are coming into this area, and understanding what their expectations are surrounding the fire protection needs and assumptions that they're looking for us to adequately respond to and protect the community, citizens, infrastructure, and the investments that are coming into the area. It's our primary concern and our primary mission, number one, to protect obviously the life safety or the protection of the workers, citizens, and visitors that come into the community, as well as property conservation or the protection of our community resources, infrastructure, and the investments that are coming in. So I certainly appreciate, we certainly appreciate the partnership that the city's been extending to us and working together on this. For the most part, if you have any questions that you would like us to entertain for you and clarify, I'm certainly here to do that. I have Chief Jensen with me, myself. We have Chief Wood, who's our fire marshal, that would be able to answer any particular fire prevention or code enforcement questions as well that you might have. And then it looks like I have two of our board members online as well. So we'll certainly be willing to answer any questions for you at this point.
Thank you, Chief. Does anybody on the council have any questions for the staff, city staff, or for Chief Palmer? Councilor Runyon?
Just to be sure, Chief, this is basically just an update that it needs to be done. Is it at any point costing the fire district additional funds to comply to make this all happen, or is this fairly routine?
I don't anticipate it costing the fire district any funds to deal with this. In particular, it will certainly cost staff time, which is what our job is to meet with, based on the criteria that is noted and that would be noted in the LUDO if this is approved, to meet with the industry and businesses coming in and communicate with them so we have an understanding of that we know what their expectations are of the fire district and what their assumptions are, and that we can explain to them what our capabilities are and then move forward from there on having an understanding of what we can do better to protect those businesses, the business and industry that's coming into the community. Obviously, the city is pushing for growth, which we certainly appreciate and support, but we want to make sure that we don't, I guess, if something were to happen, that we have the ability to protect and not lose those investments that are going to impact our community.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the city council?
This is Darcy. I have a question or a statement, maybe.
Yes.
So I noticed that you mentioned in your information sheet that you sent to us that the ISO class 3 of 9, and I remember that not that many years ago, it seems like our classification was higher and you guys worked really hard to get that lower. And one of many benefits was that our insurance became less expensive in the Dalles. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So does this step in solidifying it into the ordinance also help? Is that kind of one of their checklists as far as the things that you're doing in order to make sure that our city is safe?
It is certainly a possibility to have the ability to do that. Currently, we are at a 3.9. There are various circumstances under ISO that could give us the ability to lower that, or I'll say not lower, but improve that rating. That involves, more, obviously it involves some things that we can do on our own to be able to deal with that, but other things such as, improved deployment and staffing levels would be required to be able to help lower that as well. But we can intensify our training programs, our pre-fire planning programs and the like, which we're currently working on right now. So there are possibilities and options available for us to be able to lower that even more, but it's certainly going to take work and it's not going to happen immediately.
Thank you. I wasn't implying I wanted you to work harder on that.
So we are.
And I just want to say that I'm actually very appreciative that you brought this forward to the planning department and that they worked so well with you on it, because I think it is important to the safety of our community. And I think a lot of times people come in and you don't necessarily know what new businesses are doing. And so I think this is a great idea.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to meet with the business when they come in.
Is there any other questions for the staff or for Chief Palmer? With that, is there a motion to approve the ordinance by title only?
Excuse me, Mayor, you want to, sorry, were you going to say close the hearing?
I thought I did that. but
You did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Also, if you'd like to adopt the ordinance by title only, you would need to ask if anyone wants it read in full first.
okay. Just for the
Miller,
record.
no.
Excuse me, Linda, you interrupted me. I thought that the council should deliberate after I close the public hearing. Is that correct? Because I'm asking because we have another public hearing coming up.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. So Councilor Miller has vehemently said no. Is there anyone else?
McLaughlin, no.
Runyon, no.
Lon Curtis, no.
Okay.
Would you like the city
Hearing
clerk would you like the city clerk to read the title then?
Oh, yeah.
Please
love
do.
to.
Thank you.
General ordinance number 20-1381, an ordinance amending section 10.3.030.020, reviewing procedures in Title 10, Land Use and Development of the Dalles Municipal Code.
Okay. Councilor Miller's distracted me with her vehemence. Did anybody make a motion? I don't remember.
Not yet,
What's that?
not yet.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the ordinance by title only?
This is Rod. I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance by title only as read by the clerk.
And I can second that. That's McLaughlin.
It's been moved by Councilor Runyon, seconded by Councilor McLaughlin to approve the ordinance by title only. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. McLaughlin, aye.
Miller,
You're gonna have her read the by title only first and then we vote?
She already did.
Okay, we're good. Aye.
Miller,
Okay.
aye.
Okay, I get 4-0, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, we're down to item 9B. This is authorization for the city manager to execute a community development block grant application and execute contracts between the city of the Dalles and the Oregon Department of Housing and Community Services, and also between the city of the Dalles and the Community Cascade Housing Corporation for a Mid-Columbia Regional Home Repair Program. This is the time scheduled for a public hearing regarding the authorization of the city manager to execute a community development block grant application and execute contracts between the city of the Dalles and the Oregon Department of Housing and Community Services, and also between the city of the Dalles and the Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation for a Mid-Columbia Regional Home Repair Program. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, the city's public hearing procedures for tonight's hearing have been amended. On April 15, 2020, the governor issued Executive Order 2016 titled Keep Government Working. Pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, public bodies must hold public hearings through an electronic means whenever possible. Regarding public testimony, Section 2C of the governor's order states, quote, "In any requirements that testimony during a public hearing be taken in person do not apply if the public body provides an opportunity for submission of testimony by electronic or virtual means, or provides a means of submitting written testimony, including by email or other electronic methods that the public body may consider in a timely manner." Consistent with the governor's order, the city has implemented the following procedures for tonight's public hearing. This hearing is available for public viewing through a live stream that is posted on the city's website. Written testimony regarding the community development block grant application that is the subject of this hearing was required to be emailed to the city clerk no later than May 8th, 2020 at 3:00 p.m. The city did not receive any public testimony or comment. Have any members of the city council had any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter?
McLaughlin, no.
Miller, no.
Runyon, no.
Lon Curtis, no.
Does anyone participating in tonight's meeting wish to challenge the qualifications of any members of the city council? Hearing none, I'm opening the public hearing. And I would like to ask for a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Steve Harris for the staff report this evening, and we also have Dave Peters with Columbia Housing in attendance at the meeting to assist in answering any questions.
Thank you,
Thank
Mayor,
you.
members of the council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Yes, that's all right. Yes, this is Steve Harris, and we do also have Dave Peters from Columbia Cascade Housing with us this evening. We are conducting a public hearing on the upcoming CDBG home repair program. It's a 2-year program, and we're currently winding down our current program with Cascade Columbia Housing Corporation. It's a $400,000 program, and for this coming year, we're requesting an additional $100,000 be funded for mobile home grant repair work, and I'll let Dave speak to that as well. So again, this is a program that we share with the other counties and cities in our area, and we are acting as the lead or the pass-through on the funds as we have for the last 2 years. So Dave, could I ask you to have a few comments on where we're going with the new program?
Certainly. So thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council. As Steve mentioned, we're already in a program and we're just about done. I think we would have been done had it not been for all the restrictions of the COVID pandemic. So I just got an update from Mario. He is the primary person doing the work. We've completed 15 homes on the current program. 9 of those were in the Dalles. So this is a regional program. Some of them are outside of your jurisdiction, but there's been other jurisdictions that have done the program that have allowed homes in the Dalles. So there's sort of a give and take in that. So this new program we're going to be applying for, again, we'll be applying for $500,000. It'll involve loans made to people for doing home repairs. And as Steve mentioned, an extra $100,000 will be in grants to people that are in mobile homes. We don't want to exclude them whenever we can. But part of the application process is this public hearing that we're having now to give people a chance to have made comment. There have been no comments apparently, but it has been still recommended to us, to Steve and I, to read the actual public notice into the minutes, not just have them available. So unfortunately, it's not real long, but I'll go ahead and start reading that in unless there's questions before that. So I guess I'll stop now and answer questions. And then I will take a few minutes to read that in. And then I'll have Mario, my associate, will read it in Spanish as well, in case people are listening and speak Spanish. So first of all, were there any questions before I start that?
Any questions for Mr. Peters? You may proceed.
Okay, so again, I'm just going to read it verbatim, and it's just how it's recommended by the people to meet CDBG guidelines. So this is a public notice and notice of public hearing. The City of the Dalles is eligible to apply for a 2020 Community Development Block Grant from the Business Oregon. Community Development Block Grant funds come from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The grants can be used for public facilities and housing improvements, primarily for persons with low and moderate incomes. Approximately $12 million will be awarded to Oregon non-metropolitan cities and counties in 2020. The maximum grant that a city or county can receive is $500,000. The City of the Dalles is preparing an application for a 2020 Community Development Block Grant from the Business Oregon for the 2020 Regional Home Repair Loan Program. It is estimated that the proposed project will benefit at least 50 persons, of whom 100% will be low or moderate income. A public hearing will be held by the City of the Dalles City Council at 5:30 on May 11th, 2020. Due to the COVID pandemic and Governor Brown's executive order, only written comment is being taken. The council meeting will be held through an online conferencing platform. The purpose of this hearing is for the community, is for the City Council of the Dalles to obtain citizens' views and to respond to questions and comments about persons as well as other needs in the community that might be assisted with the Community Development Block Grant Project and the proposed project. Any interested person may submit public comment to the email for Ms. Grossman, the City of the Dalles, by May 8th at 3 p.m. The meeting will be held to listen via live stream at the Dalles City Streaming website, the City of the Dalles site. Then click on City Council Meeting, now live blue box. This notice also appears in the City of the Dalles website at www.thedalles.org. More information about Oregon Community Development Block Grants, the proposed project, and records about the city's past use of Community Development Block Grant funds is available for public review for the City of the Dalles website, again, at www.thedalles.org. Permanent involuntary displacement of persons or businesses is not anticipated as a result from the proposed project. If displacement becomes necessary, alternatives will be examined to minimize the displacement and provide required reasonable benefits to those displaced. Any low and moderate income housing that is demolished or converted to another use will be replaced. That is the English version of the comments. So I'll have Mario now read in the Spanish version. And just to comment, most of those things like displacement will never happen with this program, but again, it's part of the public notice that was given to us. So Mario, if you want to start speaking now.
Thank you, Dave. Greetings there, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Please bear with me while I read this in Spanish. It's a little bit long. Este es un aviso público y aviso de la audiencia pública. La ciudad de Dalles es elegible para solicitar una subvención global del desarrollo comunitario 2020 del Business Oregon. Los fondos de la subvención en bloqueo para el desarrollo comunitario provienen del Departamento de Vivienda y Desarrollo Urbano de Estados Unidos. La subvención se puede utilizar para instalaciones públicas y mejorar las viviendas, principalmente para personas con ingresos bajos y moderados. Se otorgará aproximadamente 12 millones a las ciudades y condados no metropolitanos de Oregon en 2020. La subvención máxima que una ciudad o condado puede recibir es $500,000. La ciudad de Dalles está preparando para una solicitud para un subsidio de desarrollo comunitario 2020 del Business Oregon para el programa de préstamo regional de reparación de vivienda 2020. Se estima que el proyecto propuesto beneficiará a menos de 50 personas, de las cuales el 100% tendrá ingresos bajos o moderados. El 11 de mayo 2020, el Ayuntamiento de la ciudad de Dalles celebrará una audiencia pública a las 5 p.m. Debido a la pandemia de COVID y la orden ejecutada por el gobernador Brown, solo se tomarán comentarios por escrito. La reunión del Consejo se llevará a cabo de la plataforma de opiniones de los ciudadanos y responderán preguntas y comentarios sobre necesidades de desarrollo y vivienda a la comunidad. Cualquier persona interesada puede enviar comentarios públicos a igrossman@ci.dalles.org.us antes de las 8 de mayo a las 3 p.m. La reunión disponible para escuchar vía live stream http //thedalles.org, línea inclinada live streaming. Luego haga City Council meeting ahora en vivo Blue Box. I believe that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other, Diana, should I ask any comments or questions for the staff or our visitors before I close the public hearing or after during council deliberations?
Before you close the public hearing and then proceed with deliberations.
Okay, is there any more questions or for the staff or for our visitors? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. I just knocked on my kitchen table. And now I will open it up for council deliberation. Does any councilors have some questions or comments regarding the authorization, the proposed authorization?
Miller here.
Yes, Councilor Miller.
I'd like to say this is a great program. It's been one of the real positive programs for housing improvement in our communities, the Hood River and the Dalles. And I promote this any chance I get.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions from the city council?
I would just add this, Rod, that as a former member of that Cascade Housing Committee, it's been well run, very efficient. Dave does a tremendous job with it, has a lot of good help from his team, and it's been very successful.
Well, thank you all.
Anybody else? With that, do I hear a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the two aforementioned contracts with the Department of Housing and Community Services and the Housing Corporation?
This is Darcy. I'll make the motion. I move to authorize the city manager to execute CDBG application and contracts between the City of the Dalles and Oregon Department of Housing and Community Services, and between the City of the Dalles and Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation for a Mid-Columbia Regional Home Repair Program.
This Rod, I'll second.
Moved by Councilor Long Curtis, seconded by Councilor Runyon to approve the authorization. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Rod, aye.
McLaughlin, aye.
Long Curtis, aye.
Miller, aye.
The motion is passed unanimously. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're down to action item 10A, a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds within the general fund. And I trust that our finance director will give the staff report.
That is correct.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. You have before you my agenda staff report for resolution number 20-008. This is to authorize transfers of the budget amounts between categories of the general fund, adopted budget making appropriations and authorizing expenditures for the fiscal year of June 30th, 2020. The resolution 20-008 would be transferring $51,000 from contingency and applying that to $45,000 to the legal services and $6,000 to the general service department to cover additional fees for repairs of a fence at the Hecka Park. Does anybody have any questions regarding this?
Any questions for Ms. Wilson?
I have a question.
Yes, Darcy.
Yes.
Where is Hecka Park? I've never heard of it.
Julie knows.
Hecka Park is a piece of city property at the triangle where East 10th and East 9th come together.
Okay,
And there's a fence around it. And for some reason, people seem to run into that late at night occasionally. And it's down right now. So we would really like to get that repaired.
all right. And so that's why in the chart it says insurance, because this is-
Yes, they did catch the person this time, so we're hoping to get some insurance money.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it the same person, or do we know that?
But we don't know that.
Okay, any other questions for the staff regarding this resolution? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds.
Miller, I move to adopt resolution number 20-008, authorizing transfers of funds between departments of the general fund of the City of the Dalles budget, making appropriations and authorizing expenditures for fiscal year ending June 10th or June 30th, 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Councilor Miller, seconded by Councilor Long Curtis to approve the resolution. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Runyon, aye.
McLaughlin, aye.
Long Curtis, aye.
Miller, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Item 10B is authorization to provide water and sanitary sewer services outside the city limits. Is Mr. Anderson with us?
Yes, he is. He was having a parking
Good
lot.
evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. The city's
evening.
received 2 requests for the provision of water. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The city's received a request for provision of water and sanitary sewer service to 2 properties located outside the city limits within the urban growth area, and both properties are contiguous to the city limits. The first request is related to the construction of a new single-family home at 2549 East 18th Street. The city water main is currently in place and passes in front of the property. The city sanitary sewer main would need to be extended about 165 feet at the property owner's expense to serve the property. The second request relates to the provision of sanitary sewer service at 2912 West 10th Street. This is also in support of the construction of a new single-family residence, but this is actually for the construction of a second residence on the lot. This property receives its water from the Chenoweth Water PUD, but they're asking for authorization to connect to the city sewer system. Council will recall that all requests for city water or sanitary sewer service outside the city limits require city council authorization. Our practice associated with that has been to require property owners to sign consents to annex so that those properties, if there's a desire to do so, can be annexed into the city limits in the future. As far as budget implications, there are no costs to the city with the issue. If approved, the property owners will pay a total of $2,317 in water SDCs for system development charges and a total of $3,578 in sewer SDCs. Also, once occupied and using the services, the properties will both pay outside the city limit rates for water and sewer. With that, it's staff's recommendation that council move to authorize the provision of city water and sanitary sewer services to the property located at 2549 East 18th Street and the provision of city sanitary sewer service to the property located at 2912 West 10th Street. With that, I take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Anderson? Okay. With no questions, I will now entertain a motion to authorize the provision of those services to the aforementioned property. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor Mays, I'll move to authorize the provision of city water and sanitary sewer services to the property located at 2549 East 18th Street and the provision of city sanitary sewer service to the property located at 2912 West 10th Street.
Is there a second?
Rod, I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilor McLaughlin and seconded by Councilor Runyon to authorize the provision of sanitary and water services to the two properties. Is there any more questions or discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 McLaughlin.
Long Curtis, aye.
Miller, aye.
Okay, again, it's unanimous approval. Thank you all very much. Item 10C is approval of the collective bargaining agreement for the SEIU Local 503. Julie, on your staff report, could you please explain the which employees are involved in this bargaining unit? Thank you.
Thank you. The employees that this affects are most of the public works employees, most of the library employees, and Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are a few still at City Hall who fall under this contract. Yes, thank you. So it represents, gosh, I'm gonna take a guess, maybe 30, 35 employees at the most. So our bargaining team for the city this year was myself, Dave Anderson, and Daniel Hunter. And then we had our labor attorney, Adam Collier, who's been representing the city on this collective bargaining agreement for maybe 15 to 20 years now. So really, the only change to the current agreement that's substantive is the cost of living adjustment. And we agreed to give the employees a 2.5% cost of living increase each year for a 3-year contract. And all of the other changes, which we actually spent a lot of time talking about other options, but all of them came off the table except for the cost of living. And there were a lot of very minor language changes, for instance, with some changes in the law we changed he, she to they and them and those kind of small changes that didn't change the context of the agreement. And the union has already ratified this agreement. So if the city council approves of this tonight, then we'll be able to put that into action July 1st. And we did include that cost of living adjustment in the budget.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions for the city manager? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with SEIU.
Okay, I'll do it. Mayor Mays, I move to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the City of the Dalles and SEIU Local 503 as presented.
Is there a second?
Miller seconds.
It's been moved by Councilor McLaughlin and seconded by Councilor Miller to approve the collective bargaining agreement. Is there any discussion? Any more discussion, questions? Hearing nothing, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Runyon, aye.
Long Curtis, aye.
McLaughlin.
Miller, aye.
It's been approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And finally, we're down to action item 10D, a resolution authorizing requests for planning assistance through the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development. Mr. Harris, I believe, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Included in your agenda packet is a resolution for your consideration that would authorize application to DLCD for consultant-assisted technical assistance to help us implement HB 2001 and HB 2003. Also included in your packet is the summary sheet of both of those recently enacted bills. There is no local match required for this. This is one of these programs where DLCD will select the consultant and manage the contract. It would allow the city to continue implementation of our 2017 Housing Strategies Report. If you may remember, last year, we processed a number of amendments to the development code relating to residential development. And so this would allow us to continue with that. Hopefully it's our last phase 3 of those housing code amendments. And then also what is new about HB 2003 is a requirement of cities to prepare and adopt a housing strategies, a housing production strategies. And we're calling that a strategic plan for housing production. Again, it would help implement our 2017 Housing Strategies Report. Again, it's no cost to the city, no local match, and it will help us continue with the implementation of the HB 2001 and HB 2003 and the next year, the coming year. That concludes the staff report. If there's any questions.
Any questions for the staff?
None for me.
None.
None.
Okay, hearing no questions, do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the requests for planning assistance?
It's Darcy, I'll do it. I move to adopt resolution number 20-007, authorizing requests for planning assistance through the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development for implementation of HB 2001 and HB 2003.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I can second. This is McLaughlin, second.
It's been moved by Councilor Long Curtis and seconded by Councilor McLaughlin to approve the aforementioned and described resolution. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Runyon, aye.
McLaughlin, aye.
Miller, aye.
Long Curtis, aye.
Okay, once again, it's unanimous approval. Thank you all very much. Is there any other business to come before the city council? Anybody would like to raise?
Mayor Mays, I just have one quick comment. I'd like to shout out to recognize the hard work of Chris Harmon at the Salvation Army. Chris is a longtime office manager and is working above and beyond the call of duty. I say kudos to Chris Harmon.
Thank you, Counselor. Anybody else? Okay, with that, I'm going to declare this meeting adjourned, but as soon as I knock on my kitchen table. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.